Hello everyone, my name is Amina and I'm honoured to be joining you today on a virtual workshop on poetry, writing, performance, and I hope that I get to inspire and challenge you to write more, to think more, and to, of course, create more work. So I am a writer, a performance artist, an activist, and I also facilitate with young people and adults. I've been doing this for the last 6 years. It's always been a part of my identity. I've always been someone who likes to create. I always use my fingers, always use my hands. I always liked writing, I always liked moulding, as my mother always used to say. Always very, very practical. However, I'm also very thoughtful, reflective, and I like to think a lot. But instead of keeping it all here, I make sure that I'm writing it somewhere on a book or trying to publish my work. So I hope today you enjoy my workshop, and let's get cracking on. So a lot of my work, most of it is on lived experiences, and I use my lived experiences in a way to kind of campaign and protest in the art that I create. And I've noticed over the years that it's really, really effective. However, a lot of people who I've met when I facilitated with, writing on lived experience is quite difficult, and sometimes a lot of beginners in writing always ask me, where do I begin? How do I write about a traumatic experience? How do I write about a situation that really I have not yet healed? And the thing is, a lot of people use writing for very different reasons. I definitely use writing at the beginning of my life to understand the world, to understand who I am, to understand where I belong and what my identity is. And I still do that. I went from writing now to writing my own play called Broken Biscuits, where I'm revisiting my grandmother's Yemeni British living room in Liverpool and understanding what it means to be British, especially under these uncertain times with Brexit coming up. So, so I thought maybe to start off our short little workshop together, I want to take you on a little journey where we can kind of discover certain places we've never really visited in our writing. Thing is, when we write on a blank piece of paper with a pen, it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of talent. And if you are writing at the moment and you are constantly writing every single day or continuously, give yourself some credit. It's a lot, mentally, physically. It takes time to think, it takes time to write. And yeah, so I hope I can invite you into a little journey with me for the next 10 minutes where I will take you to a place that you've never got been to in your own writing. So what we're going to start off with is the place of belonging, and that's the theme that we're going to use. Belonging is a very common theme in many writers and poets. It's something that we'll always be talking about academically, creatively, in every form or way. And we should be able to have these conversations about belonging. But I believe the first question should be to yourself. Who are you? Where do you belong? And one of the hardest questions I ask myself in my writing is, where is the safest place for you, Amina? Where do you belong? If you had to choose anywhere in this world, where is it? And I ask myself in that writing because this is my voice, and this is the thing. You write for yourself first. And if you are a poet already, you cannot take the poet out of the poetry. You cannot take the writing out. You can't take the writer from the writing. And you can definitely not take the artist from the artwork that they create. They come in a package. And I do this technique with myself because it allows me to go to uncertain, uncomfortable places that I didn't want to go to or I did not want to revisit. However, I'm glad I did because my writing has developed. I felt a lot stronger. I found my voice. And one example of this is a poem which I will perform at the end when we finish our memory game, or memory task, as I like to call it. I don't know why I'm thinking about games. I think I miss playing out. We've been stuck in our bedrooms for 6 months. So, okay, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some instrumental music. This is one little technique that I use for my own writing. I hope any tips that I give today helps you, or allows you to work differently. Instrumental music really helps me to write a lot more, and it allows me to it takes me a lot of places that, where the rhythm is. So I'm gonna do that, and do find your own instrumental music that kind of connects with your soul. I know this is a lot of flowery language, but honestly, it changed the way I write, and I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Writing with instrumental music, it does give you another layer of inspiration. So let's get started. So I hope you can hear that. Well, I presume though, because I can hear you, because I can hear it. Right. So what we're going to start off with is we're going to go to a place. So what I want you to do, I want you to get a pen, a notepad, a paper, however you write, whether you type on your phone, but I always recommend paper on pen, the traditional way. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like the traditional ways of writing, the traditional ways of reading. Paper and pen, if you have one. And I want this to be a free writing session. I want you to kind of go and run with the flow of your pen. I don't want you to think about your spelling. I don't want you to think about your grammar. I'm dyslexic, so they're the last two things I think about. What I really want you to really think about is your creativity, your imagination, and I really want you to unlock the door to a place that you've never been before, or maybe you've been there before but you're revisiting again for the first time. So we're going to start off and we're going to unlock the door to a place that where you feel the most safe, where you feel like you belong here. And when I say unlocking the door, it does not have to be a house with a door. It can be somewhere in the past. It can be somewhere in the future. It doesn't have to be on this earth. It can be anything. I want your imagination to run with this. And if you allow yourself to do that, write the first thing that comes to your mind. So the question was again, or the prop, where unlock that door to the place where you feel you most belong, where you feel safe. My place is my grandmother's living room. It's not her kitchen, it's not her house, it's her living room. In particular, why there's certain objects in my grandmother's living room that allows me to feel safe, and one being is my identity. My grandmother's living room is a Yemeni British. It's a representation of that dual identity. And when I visit my grandmother's living room, I feel like these are the answers to my identity, that I can be both. And I can feel safe in both identities. And I don't have to convince anyone that I belong here, because I already do. One other object in my grandmother's living room. So when I'm talking about my own safe space, I want you to continue writing, and I want you to travel with me in this task. And I'm just giving you some ideas of certain objects. So what I want you to start telling me now is, what does your place look like of safety? Is there particular objects that are meaningful, that are symbolic? It's not to identify everything in this place, it's identifying the small things that are meaningful to you, not meaningful to the world, to you or to anyone else. So one object in my grandmother's living room, I would probably think my graduation photograph, my portrait. As you can tell, me and my grandmother have a very close relationship because I've chosen her as my place of safety. But I also think my grandmother coming in 1960s to the UK, sacrificing everything she had to come and start up a business in Liverpool. And now I've had the honour to graduate with her being present. It's an honour. It's an achievement. Getting emotional. And when I do this task with myself, I do get quite emotional. And it's not emotional because I feel sad. These are real emotions. And emotions like this should be part of your writing. It's okay to cry. It's okay to laugh. Even it's okay to be angry in your writing. Emotions are real and they are valid and they are the reason we are human. So if you have that vibration in your voice, or that anger and that frustration, and you can see it in your face, or them watered eyes, then allow that to reflect in your writing. So what I want you to do is, if you're still writing, and I hope I'm not annoying you with my Scouse accent, I know you love it, really. I want you to start kind of like walking around that place that you've chosen. I mean, if we were together face to face in a theatre room, I'd probably tell you to take off your shoes. I want you to walk around barefooted, close your eyes and start touching the things around this place. That'll be the most practical way of doing this activity. But in your own space now, I want you to start actually visualizing what this place looks like. And I want you to start touching certain things that are symbolic, that are meaningful, and that has a story behind your chosen objects. And like I said, this is free writing. Run with it. Run with your imagination. Do not let your imagination catch up with you because you're stopping. Your imagination, let it run and you follow. Trust it. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. So pick up an object, hold it in your hand, something that is physical in this place. Tell yourself, why is it meaningful? What does it look like? And when you travel to this place of safety, like if you go to another place, run with it. Do not stop. See, if I'm in my grandmother's living room, I probably would take you to Yemen, to the home that I was born in. And this is when my writing will probably start to turn political, radical love for my home. And I will run with that. You don't have to stay in this particular place that you've chosen. Go to a different place if you have to, or if your imagination is taking you there. So I'd probably be in Yemen right now, 3 years of age, thinking about what woman would I be today if we'd not emigrated to the UK. What would I like? Would I be writing poetry? unknown. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Keep running with it. Tell me what you see. So now what we're going to now embed is our senses. What we see is really important. Visual and imagery is important in our writing. It allows the reader and the audience to see the place that you are kind of painting for us through your writing. So tell us what you see. And you probably have already done it, but tell us more. Make sure you've got your metaphors, your personification, your poetic devices, something that lifts your writing into life. And what we're going to do now is start moving on to our other senses, if you haven't already done so, which is smell. Smell is really, really important to any type of writing. Smell can have a really strong symbolism. I know that when I'm arriving to my grandmother's house, the spices, the Yemeni spices, the smell of coffee, takes me back home. It takes me to that question of identity. Though we live in the UK, the smell of Yemen is so close, but yet so far. I'm probably going to get emotional because what's going on politically in Yemen right now, and the chaos and the crisis. But I'm improvising right now with you. I have not planned, I have no script. This is real, this is raw, and I hope that you do this with your own writing. So tell me what you see, what you smell. Is it a particular smell that is important, that reminds you of a particular person, a particular place, a particular memory? Take yourself there. Right now, because I can smell coffee in my writing, I'm probably in Yemen under a maca tree with the farmers to the home that no longer exists. And when you've done smell, I want you to start thinking about what you hear. What we hear is also, an important factor in our writing. Sound is everywhere. I don't know if you can hear the music. You can probably hear my clock. If you were here, I could hear the trees rustling. I can hear the wind. Sound is everywhere. And when we're writing, to make it real, like we are there, and to invite the reader into your writing is to make it as real as possible, and sound is one of them. And when I started writing about sound, I was very cliche, the wind. And but what I want us to do when we're writing about sound in our place of safety, think about the sounds that are important in the writing, not actually write everything that you hear and you see, but prioritize and pick what you want the reader to know. They don't have to know everything. You're in control of that narrative. It's your story, it's your writing, it's your poem. So the sound that I would pick would be, as soon as I walk into my grandmother's living room, I could just literally hear the kettle. She's already put the kettle on. And that reminds me or shows me that I have reached home, that I've reached a place of safety with my grandmother. And she's already making me a cup of coffee because she knows we're going to have a long chat together. Love you, Grandma. So guys, I'm going to start wrapping it up because I don't want to take too long. But I wanted to start now wrapping it up, and I want you now, and I'm going to ask you a question, is how do you feel? If you have not written about how you feel in this, make sure you do. Go back to your writing and describe the way you feel. Do it metaphorically. Just the top of my head. When I told you about the kettle, I know that I've reached home, but I feel like the sound of the kettle is very dramatic. It's quick. And I feel like using that sound or how I feel towards that. Yes, I feel safe, and I know that me and my grandmother are going to sit down, have a cup of coffee. But I also feel that I'm running out of time with my grandmother. Oh gosh, got emotional today. So allow your writing to do that. A lot of people say, Amina, how do I find my voice in my writing? Be honest. Be honest. Be vulnerable. If you have to cry in your writing, why not? We're here to inspire. We're here to challenge people who read our work. We're here to take people on a journey. And one last question for this piece of exercise. I want you to ask yourself what I'm going to ask you. If your place of safety, this is strong. If your place of safety was taken away, or it didn't even exist, how does that make you feel? And the reason I ask this question, because when we write about our own kind of stories, like I might not relate to yours, might not relate to mine, but I take you on a journey to see it. But one thing that we can have in common is loss. Loss, death, existence is a collective pain. It's a common thing between us that we share. So when you lose something that is your place of safety, something that where you belong, something that is meaningful, that is where you can really kind of keep your reader and your audience engaged. So I'm going to ask that question again, which is the final piece of this activity. If your place of safety was taken away, what does that look like? Or if it didn't exist, how does that make you feel? I mean, if I ask myself that question, it's if you've written about a place where it's meaningful and had an impact on you, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Oh gosh. Then you probably might feel the same as I'm feeling right now. I've done this activity a few times, and I've had people go to places they never think they'd ever go back again, or they'd meet someone from a family member they have not seen for a long time because they've passed away or they haven't seen each other. So write about that. Write how does that make you feel if it did not exist? What if if it disappeared, or if it was taken away? So we're going to wrap it up now, and thank you guys I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously this is virtually, so we're doing our best to connect with our participants who are engaging in creative activities. But do this activity in your own time. It's so therapeutic. I love it. Like, I've just had a lovely little cry with you all. But it's fueled me, it's inspired me, and now I just want to go away after now and just write about identity, to write about my grandmother, to write about what it means to be British, to write about all of that's within it. So what I'm going to end with a poem of mine where I did the same activity for it. And just to give you some context, when I was um, in school, we faced a lot of Islamophobia, and it became quite normal because it's kind of like the only thing that we knew, because we didn't. It's the first time we've ever heard racism slurs or. However, 2 years ago, I revisited this place. I revisited 7 years ago when I was in high school. 7 years ago. Secondary school, and I did the same activity that I did with you all. And I didn't want to revisit this place again because it made me feel quite sad. But I will share with you the poem, and I'm so glad I was able to share with you. I was able to take you on a little writing exercise. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy my poem. And thank you so much for having me. My mother's anthem in a foreign place. Girls like us. Girls like us go to war every day. We placed on our armors, tucked in our school shirts. Lifted our skirt, chasing those white boys down double-decker buses. You racist prick, I shouted. Running down Queen's Drive as he chased me with a knife. Because girls like us are forced to learn English quicker to save us from a stab wound in our backs. We wore expensive running shoes, hanging our keys from our necks to let them know that we are coming. Because girls like us settled in a foreign place, and we buried our mother's tongue in our back gardens to find the roots have outgrown even deeper. A sacrifice that haunts you every time you sing your mother's anthem, but you keep on dancing. You keep on dancing because girls like us grew balls with pink bows. We passed borders with our homes on our backs, dancing two-step melody around the immigration officer. Fluttering my tongue, I recite my tribal name, explaining to him why I still smell like my grandma's spices and lime. Because girls like us are told to throw our veils in the river. No letterbox delivers here. And you wait for Trump to blow his trumpet and kiss the face of Boris Johnson. But you wait for the right-wing party to chant up your street, but you hide behind your curtain, sucking on your mother's olives, but you keep on dancing. You keep on dancing. Because girls like us learned how to defend ourselves, because some girls ducked the snowballs across the road. But we learned how to throw the rocks back in their glass windows as he points at me. How are you a Scouser? Because Scousers are white and you're a Paki. We see girls like us befriended our enemy. Because going home is every tear behind every school bus stop, telling your mother that school was okay today. That school was okay today. As you run up the stairs, hiding the scars on your face, and going home. Going home only meant singing your mother's anthem in a foreign place. But it's too broken to sit. So you stutter her vowels like Elif, Ba, Ta, Wahdati, Wahdati, Ummati, Ummati. Thank you so much.